to the computer. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome, Ursula. Take it away in your fabulous meditation. Let's get grounded here and now.
All right, so let's get comfortable and close our eyes. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Allow yourself to settle into stillness. Let your body soften, your mind quiet, and your awareness draw inward. Stillness isn't the absence of movement. Stillness is the presence of peace. It's the space beneath the thoughts, the quiet rhythm of your heart, the gentle awareness that never rushes. As you breathe in, imagine inhaling calm. As you breathe out, release any tension you've been carrying. Feel yourself melting into the moment. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, just be. With each breath, notice the silence between the sounds. Notice how your mind begins to slow down, how peace begins to rise up within you, like a soft tide washing over the shore of your being. Stillness is not something you create, it's something you allow. It's always been here, waiting beneath the noise, ready to hold you whenever you remember to pause. Let this moment remind you you are safe in the quiet. You are guided even in the pause. And when you return to the world, you'll carry this stillness with you. A calm center in the middle of all things. Let's take one last deep breath in. And as you exhale, whisper softly to yourself, I am still. I am peace. I am here. And when you're ready, open your eyes
Hmm.
and be present. Namaste.
Namaste. And guess what? It's 11:11.
Ooh, love that number.
That was so great. Well, and that was amazing. And thank you so much for being here, all of you. And today we're going to be talking about the Eight Noble Path. But I just kind of wanted to repeat again how it is really cool how it lines up with the five agreements. So, number one, being impeccable with your word. Number two, don't take anything personally. Number three, don't make any assumptions. Number four, always do your best. And number five, be skeptical, but learn to listen. So let's get into it. Let me share the screen with everyone here so we can all see it together and go over the Eight Noble Path here. All right. Can you see everything here? What does that look like for everyone? There we
I
go.
see
Can
it.
you see it? Okay.
I can see.
Awesome. Well, great. So let's get started here. So this teaching was, um, taught over 2,500 years ago, which I thought was really interesting. People are looking for things in their life to remove all the suffering, and this noble path allows for you to bring nirvana into your life, a blissful, peaceful life. You don't have to practice these in order, however, it works best if you do. So we have a chance of removing our suffering if we have the right view or the right perspective. So the right perspective, um, the right view is our belief system. What are you believing in this world? So seeing the world and everything in it as it really is, not as we believe it to be or how we want it to be. So we have um, like let's say if you're driving a car and the windshield is cracked, we can't really see through it. It's pretty much impossible to see where we're going. Depends on the crack, right? But it makes it kind of difficult. So if we're trying to figure something out on the internet and the language is set to French and you don't speak French, then it's pretty much impossible to figure it out. If you don't have the right perspective as human beings, we suffer. So we need to have the right perspective to see the world and everything as it is. That's how we end the real suffering. So having the right intention, or does anybody want to add to that or have anything? Okay, Joyce, go ahead.
I do. I was thinking about how at first I was like getting caught up in the word right because that felt like a stress in my body. It was really interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
then I kind of went to true perspective. Like to me it was I went right to the I forget what it's called, but it's like how the observer it's in a state of like our observations and our beliefs create the line. It's like the line or the wave or the point, like our intention and our focus and our beliefs like create that reality.
Yes.
And so when I was thinking of true perspective or right perspective, I went to having like it's like peeling off a layer of conclusion. Like I felt like this lightness when I had that thought as you were reading.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's like number five in the five agreements is, listen and observe, and does it feel good in your body? So it's good that you did that. You're like, right. And it kind of makes you go back to school where you're thinking, well, they're telling
Mhm.
me what to do, and that just doesn't feel good. Right. So
Uh-huh.
so if
Uh-huh.
it maybe it's true, the true intention or the true speech, what feels good to you? We
Yeah.
could take in the information and then, practice it and see what feels good. So I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah, I'm
Anybody
glad
else?
Joey said that because me too. I was like, but when you said the right perspective, I was thinking the same as Joyce, but I liked the true perspective. And something that makes if it makes you feel, if you can have a perspective that makes you feel horrible, like a limiting belief, and then you can switch it to a perspective that makes you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's for me, it kind of goes back to school when you're doing it the right way or the wrong way, kind of like that. So
Yeah.
it is really interesting. So,
I think
anyways, go ahead, Peter.
so. In integral psychotherapy, you talk about each one of us in our psyche. We have automatically something called our tools and rules. Like as we are born, we develop in our psyche like a journal of the things that are our rules and tools and principles. And so if an individual in their tools and rules and principles do not have specific understanding, their definition of right and wrong will be different, right? Because if they have not been told what's right or what's wrong,
Yeah.
their definition internally based on the limitation of their tools and rules will be different in terms of what is right. Like some people might say it's right to scream and be upset, whatever, right? But it's based on individuals' tools and rules. So um, Joyce pointed out that distinction between right and true is important. And I wanted to also add to that I think it's more so like taking the higher perspective, because in reality, truth and um, intention and speech is predicated on our level of consciousness. At every level, what we call our truth or what we call our intention is different.
Yeah.
As we grow in our level of consciousness, our intention changes. Our intention becomes purified to become
Mm-hmm.
equal to our divine source. So it's like we inside of us, we can always choose what is okay, what is good, or what is the highest. And choosing the highest ensures that we are constantly moving closer to our unified self, our one self, I am self.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like Ursula said, however it makes us feel good in our body. So yeah, because it's going to be different for all of us. So thank you, Peter. That's awesome. So that leads us to the go ahead. Somebody else say something? No? Okay. So that leads us to the right intention, our thoughts. So the aspiration to act with correct intention of doing no harm. So being responsible for everything in your life, knowing that I created this, this is my karma. There's no other way it could be possible to exist in my experience because everything is made of energy and energy is vibration and I'm made of energy and everything is made from laws of the universe like gravity. For example, I attracted this car of mine, or I have a child with a disability, or whatever the vibration would be occurring. If I attracted it, it's because of my vibration. And so then, so being responsible for all of that. So then that leads us to the right speech, abstaining from lying or decisive or abusive speech. The right speech involves recognition of the truth. So let's say you have a bad relationship with your mother and you blame it on her, but then it takes away your power. So taking on full responsibility, I don't have to suffer. The right perspective, the way out of this is reincarnation. So to undo kind of like our attachments, we have to be willing to be aware of our thoughts, and this is internal. It's definitely all inside of us. So taking the right speech. Any chime in on that one? Anybody? Anybody? Okay.
I like,
Mhm.
yeah, the point you made about when the when our thoughts I'm also aligned with choosing not to think that everything is happening to us. Like when we are living from inside out, then essentially we begin to question the things that show up in our reality, why they are there. And to your point, one begins to see the cycles. And so I think it makes an individual, it empowers, makes an individual feel more empowered when you see the cycles in life, because you recognize that they are the creation of your own, they're your own self-creation, right? So then you begin to take the right perspective, the right view, and the right speech.
Yes. Yeah. Just knowing that everything in our world. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, how did I attract this accident? Like, really? I thought I was doing pretty good. Sometimes you wonder, like, how did that happen? But whether it's karma or whatever, basically is to not take anything personally. It's the journey of your life, things like that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So,
I wanted to just to add to what you were saying. I think, fundamentally, um, yes, we're talking about identity, identification. I think the right view is predicated on, um, Matthew was teaching us about, I'm trying to remember the name of that principle that has to do with the The elevator, like when you're on the top floor on the elevator.
Oh,
Do you remember summer?
yeah, I remember it, but I don't can't speak to it.
Okay, you're looking for a friend, and he says that when you go up to the top floor on the elevator, you can see your friend in the
Oh,
um, yeah,
yeah, I remember now.
yeah. So the right view, I think, is predicated on when a person elevates their consciousness to the top floor. Because if our consciousness, if the way we identify ourselves or believe about ourselves and the world is like at the lower level, then our view will be and our intention will be at that lower level.
Mm, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting to think about, right? It's there's a lot of definitely a lot of things to think about as we're growing in our consciousness and remembering all these new experiences of things that we've been lied to, and then we're learning new things. So it's yeah. Thank you for bringing that in.
So, something just keeps on going in my head is like, like that all truths are truth, and that depends on our level of consciousness, because everybody is in a different level. So
Hmm.
that's where all truths are truth. I don't know why it just kept on my mind was saying all truths are truth. And it's because of our level of consciousness.
Hmm. And somebody else is going to have some truth about it at their consciousness,
And
and that's
yeah,
right, and that's why you have to just kind of accept people for where they're at, and you can have
absolutely.
those conversations. If they don't get it, that's okay. It's not, they're not ready for it yet.
And not
um
take it personal,
yep.
not get offended or anything. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, which is takes mastery over your mind to be able to do that. It's definitely not easy. um it does get easier with time as we practice, but we've been had our certain patterns that we've been in our whole lives, and our self-beliefs and things like that. So that takes us to the right action. So right action recognizes the need to take the ethical approach in life to consider others and the world we live in. So, for instance, something like somebody speaking actions about smoking cigarettes. They know they hate it, they say it's expensive, and nobody's winning right now. They're not taking the right action. They're suffering in it. But if they could be speak their truth and actually be a man or woman of their word and say, I'm going to quit, instead of saying all this stuff about it and then keeping to it, then it ends the suffering, right? Instead of waking up the next day going, oh, I think I should quit. I'm just going to light it up, or whatever. So I see my roommate doing that a lot, and it's funny. She came to me the other day and she's like, "Oh, I'm putting all this stuff on my face and I think I take really good care of myself." And I'm like, "But you smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day and you drink like a gallon of Coke a day." And I go, "Did you know that that comes from the inside? Like, it's your nutrition is what helps you glow on the outside." And she's just like, "Well, I'm not going to stop smoking." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't say anything about that," but that was her mindset. It was really interesting. So, yeah, so taking the right action approach in life. Anybody want to speak to that? All right, then we'll skip on to the right livelihood, making an ethically sound living, being honest in business dealings. So this is interesting for me. This says this is really our career or a business. A lot of people work 8 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 12 hours a day, or they work 4 days to 7 days a week. It's extremely important, because our job determines our lifestyle. So make sure you do something that you love and it lines up with who you are. So for me, as especially now, as I'm stranded here with no car, I do have a bike, which has been nice, and I've been out looking for jobs. And What I go to is what I've done in the past, which is be a bartender or server or waitress. And I've had all this time to think about it and have this awareness around it. And so, like the other day, I went into this bar and I went in and I instantly, like, just cringed, went, oh, I go, why would I want to work here? How am I helping people? I'm not. I'm like contributing to their being drunk. I go, but okay, it was fun. Oh, wait, it basically comes down to I would make a lot of money, but it doesn't line up with who I am. So, it's just interesting having all this different awareness towards having a job like that. So, it's really important to make sure you do something that you love for the money and not just do it for the money, because this is where it's the right livelihood. It helps us be honest. So, he says, you know, something like the Buddhists say that, do something that's not like selling alcohol or making drugs or making your own guns. You don't want to do things that harm people or be a butcher in a slaughterhouse. And I was thinking about that and I'm like, oh, wow, I used to be a fish butcher. When I was 17, I would fillet all the fish and I could watch all the men in the back. There was mostly men, butcher the meat. And well, I didn't know that's what I was doing it for the money. And it was the grossest job I've ever had in my whole life. So make sure you do something that you love. So anybody want to talk to that particular principle?
I just want to say, when I was little in Peru, my uncle used to take my cousin and I to bullfights. I
Oh,
loved, loved bullfights, loved the smell, not the poop smell, but it kind of a rosy smell. Loved to see the guys in their uniform, and I
backstreet
loved it.
cowboys.
They have that little tight outfit, all silvery, or
Yes.
whatever, and I loved it.
Oh,
But now it's like, how I mean, they torture the bulls. They stabbed them
yes.
sometimes 3 times, and then they would used to get their ears or their tails. And to me, that was so exciting. Now
Yep.
it's like they don't do that anymore. But I'm like, oh, poor animals. Oh, yeah, that's torture. It's like I
Yes.
cringed.
Yes, it is interesting, and it's interesting how much our whole community in a lifestyle in the world have things that events like that. For instance, football. Isn't it interesting how popular football is? And then that goes with drinking and eating abundant of food and all this stuff. And I never really been a football fan, but once I learned it, that most of the football players that are stars and stuff, they have a short-lived life because they're a star for a little while. They make lots of money and then they end up, with brain injuries and things like that, and they spend all their money and their future doesn't look so bright. It's just a terrible sport. And so there's a school up the street here, and every 3 days a week they play for the band, and then on Fridays they have a football game, and it's fun to hear the community and be in the rah rah, right? And I went up there on Halloween. And I just wanted to see what it was all about, and I got up there and I thought, well, why am I going to pay to go watch a whole bunch of football players? I don't know. I kind of like the cheerleaders, but really, what is this all about? We're supporting the kids and we're teaching the kids to do this because it's a pattern of the schools, and that's what they are teaching in. But it's kind of the same thing because then you grow up in it, and then you get into the alcohol, and then it's just all goes together. It's just that old pattern. So it's interesting what we've been taught, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, anyways, that brings us to the right effort, endeavoring to give rise to skillful and kind thoughts, words, and deeds, and renouncing evil ones. So, if we want to remove all suffering and be in that beautiful nirvana or bliss, be willing to learn the new system. So, this is why it's very important to be mindful and have concentration, inner peace, wisdom, lifestyle, good speech, good actions, good thoughts, um, and not follow the old ways because we're in a creating a new world, and we're learning new principles so that we can teach the next generation before they get into too much of the suffering, right? So um, that's really really interesting to be aware of. So what does that look like for anyone there? Anybody have any thoughts on the right effort? Well, we're not here to just be, um, get in a family and make babies and just be, in this crazy world. We're actually here to just be in the moment and live today and be in blissfulness, which that brings us to the right mindfulness. So the right mindfulness is actually something that we practice every Wednesday with Matthew in the meditation. So what does our body feel like? How is my breathing? What does my skin feel like? Or what I dislike? What I feel when I feel tired? If I'm not happy or sad? If I'm confused? Just to be aware of all that. It's nice to be aware of that when we're driving along or we get in an argument with somebody. Just think those thoughts like, oh, I'm not feeling good in my body right now, or I'm more aware of what I put in my body and how it makes me feel. Whereas before, I didn't pay attention, and I was like, oh, now I'm more aware of it. So it's nice to have that awareness, because once we have that right mindfulness, then our life becomes more peaceful.
For sure.
So
I'm still a pill popper, but I used to be a pill popper, but it was like the Roxy, the Percocets, ecstasy, Xanax, those
mhm,
now. I mean, I say I'm still a pill popper, but I take vitamin D12, I take magnesium, I take 12 pills a day, but they're
wow,
all like supplements.
supplements, yeah, yeah,
I'm way more mindful about my body,
yeah.
what goes in. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's interesting, I've been practicing when I get done with my um time with Matthew in the morning. I have been after I get done and I kind of do the introspection, then I do a meditation afterwards. And then usually I'll fall asleep until my mindful meditation comes on, and so I end up being kind of asleep in an hour. And I don't remember my dreams very often, but when I do that meditation and I fall asleep deeply for that small portion of the time, I remember my dreams. I'm like, oh,
Mm.
what is that about? That's so interesting. And so that's I had a dream of my daughter, and she came to visit me, and she was just doing all these things, like she was smoking in front of me and she was just being her true authentic self, and I just allowed her to be. But I remember saying to her, I remember when I smoked when I was your age, but I did it because my family did it and I didn't know anything about it. And now as I'm older, I've done the research on it. And when you do the research on alcohol or drugs or cigarettes, what it does to your body, then it kind of makes you think differently. Like you're like, oh gosh, this is a temple. And if I want to live until I'm 100, especially I've had all this awareness after 50, as your body, changes, you kind of go, oh, I don't want to put that in my body anymore because it makes me feel this way, and you have more awareness. But a lot of times the kids are doing stuff because they don't even know, or you're watching a movie and you see, like, I watched so many episodes where they're drinking all the time, and it kind of makes you want to have a drink because they're having fun and they're partying and they look good and they're cute, and stuff like that. But people don't really do the research. They don't know what it does to them or how it affects their brain or how they sleep. I don't know about you, but when I've drank in the past, I don't sleep good. And then I wake up and I feel cruddy in the next day. So when I done the research on it, I went, wow, isn't that so interesting?
Yeah,
So it's nice to have that.
you're in a hypnotic rhythm. You do it because everybody else is
That's
doing
right.
it, and you just like
Yep.
just do it. like a
Yeah.
zombie, just do it.
Exactly. That's what it is. And then instead of making your own decisions, you're in the flow, or maybe you're pressured into it. Because I was always pressured into smoking and smoking pot and doing drugs when I was at school and I was a kid. Like, here, oh, let's go smoke in the back. Right. And you just don't know. So it was interesting. I said that to her and then she got all mad at me. And so I was like, oh, well, you just have to let them do their thing. Sometimes they don't even want to hear. You can tell a story, but even that, so it's interesting to just have that mindfulness to be more aware. So then that leads us, we're a little few minutes over here, but thank you for being here and we'll just finish it up real quick. That leaves us right into the right concentration. So practicing skillful meditation informed by all preceding 7 aspects. So, you're doing all of these, the right view, maybe the true intention, the true speech, true action, true livelihood, true effort, true mindfulness, and leads us to the true concentration. So concentration, focusing on the moment or the one thing in the moment. That's what's going to be the true bliss, having the awareness and everything, but being here right now. So, seeing all the thoughts and eliminating the baggage, and find the noble path and concentrate to find a nirvana, the true blissful being here now. So, yeah, any last thoughts before anybody wants to chime out here?
I just want to show you. Can you see this little? I'm sitting in the bathroom because I have my little dog, the little doggy that I'm dog sitting.
Oh,
So
yes.
I have her pee pee pad here. So
She's listening too.
yeah, she
you know,
is.
getting some mindful information. So that's great. Well, beautiful. Any last words before we go? And I'll just push stop and then we can continue on if you wish. Um, was there one thing that stood out? Maybe we go around and tell me one thing that stood out for you. How about Joyce with the Noble
I
Path?
really enjoyed the peacefulness of being able to have my house and be on this call.
Yes.
And it really is calming to think on these things in the
Mhm.
body. It feels just wonderful. Thank you for today.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Peter, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I really like the fact that there's a right way to think, and you know, it um it helps to set a boundary, you know. Sometimes you ask yourself, how will someone know the right thing to do or the right way to think unless they are told? No one can know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, understanding this path enables an individual to have guardrails, so to speak, from a mental perspective. I ask myself today, taking a walk, the question about, um, and that's why I think at the beginning again, I alluded to the fact that right is good. However, I think the highest is the best because we only make decisions predicated on our level of understanding. But what if, as we get older, we discover that the understanding we had when we're younger is different from the understanding we have today, right?
That's right.
So a person's right today is different from their right 10 years from now because their understanding has expanded. And so I ask myself, why can't I think today like I am 70 years from now, so that my
Yeah,
view today can be the view of having attained, that knowledge, because we define our
it's
reality based
true.
on our understanding. And so if we expand our understanding, if we choose um, to have the highest understanding, always ask ourselves, is there a higher understanding in the moment? Then our decisions will be predicated on the higher understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And the higher understanding, if you think about it, always is the highest understanding, if you think about it, is always based on love. It's always like fundamentally based on like love, wisdom, and will to do good, goodwill, the ability to do good.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, every other understanding that we have, or tool or rule that we have, is always based on some kind of conditioning, like societal conditioning, home, even the conditioning that we get from our doctrines, from our teachings. Like every teaching we receive is still a conditioning, right? The only
Yep.
thing that is ultimate is when we connect with our highest self, and then we don't need any external rule and tool because we're flowing with God automatically. So we then don't need the tools anymore. We don't
That's
need the
right.
we don't need the guardrails anymore. So
Yeah.
yes, we
Christ
elevate.
self.
Yeah, the Christ. So I guess I rambled a bit there, but it's quite an interesting topic. Thanks so much, Summer.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Ursula, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, well, thank you. No, yeah, I'm so grateful you reminded me of the five agreements because I like, it's a little short book, easy, not short book, it's easy. I listen to it. So, and I have it on my Audible, so I'm going to review it. So
Great.
thank you
Awesome.
for all
Yeah.
the awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we'll stop here.